Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me okay? Welcome. This is a very big day for us. It feels like ever since we arrived in the marketplace just 2.5 years ago, we've been making big news. First, the announcement of bringing a franchise here to Orlando, and then, of course, big news in winning championships in our first year, and then the division title last year. The news just a few weeks ago that we were going to be partnering with Sporting Kansas City, an affiliation there. And of course, it's always been in the background. It's always been our interest and our desire to bring a Major League Soccer franchise here to Orlando. So today is no exception in that big news stakes. We are introducing today a major new investor for Orlando City, Mr. Flavio Augusto da Silva. And before I introduce Flavio to you, just a few points. Flavio joins us in our dream and our passion, which is to bring a Major League Soccer franchise here. We've been working hard for the last 12 months, talking to various groups, looking for the ideal partner that would partner with us in that journey. And we feel that we've found that in Flavio and his partner, Alexandre. You'll hear from Flavio shortly. You'll hear that he shares a passion for the game. He shares a passion for our dream of bringing a Major League Soccer franchise here. And he shares a passion for all that we're doing, both on and off the field. So I think an ideal partnership, a very synergistic partnership, where not only is Flavio investing, but also bringing tremendous value add to our proposition, a very unique proposition as a soccer club. So it's a great day for us. We feel like we now have a very complete complement, a very complete platform to build on. The MLS is aware of what we're doing, of our announcement today. And I think it'll be very well received in New York. And hopefully, in the very near future, we'll be able to stand before you with the news that we're bringing a Major League franchise here in the next few weeks or months. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Flavio Augusto da Silva.
Thank you for coming. Well, at first, please let me introduce myself a little bit and tell you a short story about my journey by today. Well, my name is Flavio Augusto da Silva, as Phil said. I'm 41 years old. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, in a very poor neighborhood in Rio de Janeiro. Have someone here been in Rio before? Just Phil? Okay. Well, you will be more than welcome to visit Rio in the next World Cup, 2014. It will be one of the host cities of the next World Cup, and also in the Olympic Games in 2016 that will be hosting in Rio de Janeiro. So I was born in Rio in a very poor neighborhood. And as many Brazilians, we are almost 200 million people. So we are very passionate for soccer. Soccer is a passion for us. And in 1995, I started my first business when I loaned $10,000 with 12% of interest rate monthly. It's very expensive money. And we start an education business, specifically a language schools in Brazil. The Brazilians love to learn a new language, English and Spanish, for example. And we started this new school in 1995. And in the last February 7th, it was my birthday, when I turned 41. So when I sold this company for almost $500 million in Brazil. So after that, we are expecting to invest in new business, and mainly to do things that I really love, and soccer is one of these things. So many Brazilians love Orlando. Orlando is one city that the Brazilians really love. So have you seen any Brazilians around in the city? Mainly in the malls? Have you seen how the Brazilians love to buy? It's amazing. So I've heard, I'm not sure if this is the right number, but I believe that 70% of all the purchases in the malls are from the Brazilians. Really, the Brazilians love to buy and love soccer. Well, my passion for soccer, last year we we became a FIFA World Cup sponsor. My company, Wise Up, in Brazil, became a FIFA World Cup sponsor when I met Alexandre. This is a guy that will be on board in this project here in Orlando City. Alexandre is president of Octagon in Latin America. It's in Brazil, in Latin America. And he's a specialist in sport marketing. And I start talking to Alexandre about MLS. And when I saw these numbers, I got shocked. When I saw that soccer is the #1 participation sport in the United States, with over 24 million young athletes playing the game. I didn't know that. It's the #1 sport participation. Soccer is now the second most popular pro sport for those aged between 12 and 24 years old, outstripping the NBA, MLB, and college football. I didn't know that. Major League Soccer ranks 3rd in large average attendance in U.S. professional sport leagues, ahead NBA and NHL. And also, the MLS is the 7th attendance among the premier leaguers in the world. So I was really excited about these numbers. So soccer is not a sport of the future. Soccer is a reality in USA. Many people hasn't realized it yet, but it's a reality. And for this reason, I decided to invest in MLS, in soccer, and help the Orlando City to become an MLS team, because it's a great opportunity not only to do something that I really love, but also invest in a great opportunity of business, because soccer is not a future, it's a reality. But the potential of growth of soccer in the US is huge. And for this reason, I decided to invest here the enough amount of money that is necessary to take Orlando City and become a Major League Soccer team from as soon as possible. So my decision was that. So when I met Alexandre, he made a research for me, and he presented 3 different cities. I will not mention the other cities, but Orlando is one of those. And so I love Orlando. Orlando is a nice city, it's a fantastic city, it's a great potential, great people, great environment, and we chose Orlando as our target for this investment. And we were really happy when we found Orlando City here, because actually I know Orlando very well, but I didn't know the structure of Orlando City. I didn't know the quality of the job that Phil has been doing in the last 2 years here. They achieved, Phil and his team, they achieved many things here in the city, and I was really surprised positively when I met their job. So I didn't have any doubt. Here, Orlando City is the right place, the right team, the right seat, the right people to invest and do this dream become a reality, which is Orlando City is being part of MLS. So today is a very happy day for me, and I would like to ask Alexandre to come here, because Alexandre became part of this team, part of this project, and he has a great experience in soccer, in the sport environment, in the world. In the last 20 years, I would like that Alexandre would be able to share with you part of his experience in the last 20 years. Thanks so much.
Hello, good afternoon. I'll give you my very short participation in this press conference, just to bold a couple of informations that Phil and Flavio told you guys. The first one, it's very important. They are very serious in intention to take Orlando City to the next level. And the reason that we decided, and my recommendation to Flavio was Orlando, it's because of the most important asset any sports team have it. In Orlando City, in my opinion, already have it, which is the fan base. So what the fans are doing here and what the Orlando City is doing in the league so far, it's huge, it's very important, and that's why I told Flavio, look, we are a little bit of ahead if we start from zero in another franchise. So we are here to announce the Flavio enjoying the Orlando City, but most important of that, the serious intention and to have Orlando City as a Major League Soccer team. So I'm part of Octagon, it's a sports marketing agency based in the headquarters here in the US, in Norwalk, and I'm run the business in Latin America and Brazil. And what we do there is working and helping companies in investing and take leverage on the sports sponsorship. And Flavio and I, we've been working together on his sponsorship, on his company sponsorship in the World Cup. He came to me asking about a Major League Soccer, and we really believe that Major League Soccer is a reality here. We really believe that the soccer in the US will be a mature sport in a very short period, and of course that we want to participate on this movement, and more than that, we believe that Orlando City can contribute to make that reality even bigger and faster with our knowledge about soccer, with our relationship with the soccer community in Brazil and Europe and globally, because we have been working in football and soccer, for the last, it's quite complicated for me. Sorry about that. I told you, Phil, that I came, soccer, but in the middle of the conversation I would say football. It's okay. We have been working with soccer the last 13 years, more than that. And as a Brazilian, when you're born, you're already born as a soccer fan. So this is a journey that's becoming reality today. And I'll ask you, the fans especially, and every Orlando community, support and helps us to make that real in a very short period. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess a couple of final comments, and then we'll open it up for general questions, and obviously for the members of the press, Flavio, Alexandre, and myself will be around to do one-on-one interviews after the formal press conference is closed. But just a couple of comments in closing. This is an opportunity, as we said. It's been 12 months that we've been looking for this, the right partner to work with us. And we believe we've really found that in Flavio and Alexandre. Tremendously passionate people about the game, great value add to our platform that's already in place with our existing ownership, and a fantastic opportunity to take the team to the next level. The next level, by the way, and I want to make this very clear, the next level is not just winning another championship, it's not just entry into the MLS, it's making Orlando City a global brand in football, in soccer. Got me at it now. And making it a global brand in soccer. That's what we aim to do. We believe all the components are here with the support of the community, with the support of our fans, with the support of the community around us, and with our corporate sponsors. We believe we can make Orlando City one of the top global brands in this game in the world. There's no reason why we can't do that. Orlando is a city that's loved by all people around the world. This is the #1 sport in the world. The combination of the two would be fantastic. We're already talking to both Flavio and Alexandre about the potential of bringing a Brazilian Beckham to the team, about utilizing their connections in the corporate world and also with the athletes that they represent and they work with. So there's a lot of more exciting news to come over the weeks and months. But I think the tie to from the US, from Central Florida to Europe, which we've had for many years through our connections, but now we have that tie into into Latin America, and particularly into Brazil. It makes for a fantastic combination of the South American, the European, and the Central Floridian base that we've got here. It's a great opportunity for all of us. The last point I would make on this as well is that the Brazilian community is extremely important to the Central Florida community. The Brazilians now make up the second largest overseas visiting group to Florida. But probably even more importantly than that, as Flavio pointed out, they're the highest spending group once they come here. They spend an average of 9 days in our community, which is more than most visitors do. They spend on average $1,800 per visit, which is $700 higher than any other community that comes. So they're second most important to us. They're the biggest spenders. They understand the sport. They love the sport. They have the World Cup in 2014, the Olympics in 2016. And the only reason I did this was for the tickets. No. No, all joking apart, we're delighted, absolutely delighted to have our friends from Brazil join us in this quest. And hopefully this will bring things forward faster than ever and will make MLS, as they've said, a reality for Central Florida and for Orlando. Thank you. Flavio, Alexandra, you want to join me? We'd like to open the floor up to the press to any questions you have for the three of us before we break off for individual interviews.
To happen and when like from today until actually putting an MLS product on a field, I would assume in a new stadium.
Sure. Thank you for that question, because it gives an opportunity to answer that and lay the timeline out, which is important. Don Garber was here in the marketplace in March, almost a year ago, and he met with the ownership group. He looked at our facilities. He met with the mayors, both the city mayor and the county mayor. He met with our fans at a town hall meeting. And he walked away, it's fair to say he walked away from that meeting extremely impressed with what we'd already done and what we have in place. He left us with one challenge, which was a multi-purpose soccer stadium of about 18 to 20,000 seats with a roof over the fans. And that is an absolute prerequisite. It is a must to bring an MLS franchise. Let's be clear about this. We won't have an MLS franchise in Orlando unless we can have a stadium like that to house the team in, because that's critical to the business model of the MLS today and the success that this sport is seeing all around the country. What he said to us was very clear. We don't need to build that stadium, but we need to have a plan in place that people are committed to make that stadium a reality. So what we're doing, the next stage, is to have that plan in place. And we're working with, as you know, we're working with the state, we're working with the city, and we're working with the county to ensure that we have that plan in place to build a stadium that meets those prerequisites. With that in place, the MLS knows that with that in hand, then we will go back to them and talk in the dotting the I's and crossing the T's at the detail level about bringing a franchise here. What does that look like? That could be, and timeline, that could be as early as the end of this year that we have those negotiations. With a view, typically the MLS gives you about a 15-month window or runway to be playing in the league. So with that in mind, the earliest that we could be playing in major leagues is March of 2015. And that's what we aim for, that's our goal, that's what we push for every day. We don't have to have the stadium built by that date. The MLS will allow us to play in the Citrus Bowl in the short term. But that's the key there, it's in the short term. It cannot be a long-term solution. It has to be a multi-purpose soccer stadium. So we can play there for a year or so whilst the stadium is getting constructed, and we would look to be playing in our own, if you like, soccer home in 2015, 2016 at the latest. Does that help? Thank you. Yes.
Knowing there are several different parties who'd be involved in the financing of this stadium, can you estimate what the taxpayer piece of it would be, what the commitment would have to be from residents of Orlando and Orange County?
The good news there is it's no net new taxes whatsoever to the residents of either Orange County or the city. This is the reallocation of existing tax dollars that are there today and being utilized for other purposes. And we as an organization are committed to bringing a third or more of that to the party. So it's a significant commitment from us. On top of that, there will be, of course, a very significant franchise fee that we will be paying out of pocket. So overall, from a project standpoint, our contribution to that, it will be well in excess of 50%. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Could you talk a little bit more about the ownership base of the club now? Because I believe on the website you've got 12 owners of the club. This would make 13. Or could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah. No, good question again. The existing ownership of the club is in place, and Flavio and Alexandre are adding to that ownership group. We've been very careful about building a strong base of owners so that we could spread the load. You know, this is a loss-making venture. Let's be clear about that. It's not a profit-making venture at all. We subsidize this for the good of the game and to bring something here to Central Florida. So we have a strong group of owners very committed to making this a reality. And Flavio and Alexandre joined that group. As time goes by and as more investment is called for in the stadium and in the franchise, then Flavio is committed to putting that money into the club, and therefore his stake in the club will grow and rise until he essentially becomes the primary owner. But we aren't going away anywhere, just that Flavio's interest will be increasing. Yes?
So can you talk a little bit about how Fabio will get into the day-to-day soccer operations of the team moving forward into the MLS?
I'll let him answer.
Yeah, it's very important to mention that Phil is doing a great job. He will keep doing this job. This is one of my requirements. He should stay. And he will be the president of the club. So in the daily routine of the club, he will keep managing everything. So my biggest contribution is not only the investment, but also the connection in the business part of the club, mainly in Brazil, for example, where we're going to have a huge impact, because you can imagine why a businessman from Brazil is not investing in Brazil, for example. That's a mature marketing. So it's going to be very big, this impact in Brazil. So we have lots of connections there, even with players, coaches, and the soccer side of this point. So for this reason, we are bringing Alexandre to be part of our team, because his connections are very relevant in Brazil. But we don't want to make a club for Brazilians. It's not our target. So we have a plan to have a global brand, because we believe that as Orlando is an international, the most visited city in the world, and soccer is the biggest sport in the world, we can influence the soccer from Orlando. This is our goal. If you need some information about connections in Brazil, Alexandre can talk better about that.
Yes.
Downtown Orlando, you're looking at to build this 20,000 seat stadium?
At this point, no, we actually can't. That's still being discussed between city, county, ourselves, and so on. And quite honestly, one side has not been located yet or actually decided upon. What we do know is that the Major League Soccer, for us to get that franchise, insists that we develop in the downtown urban core, because that is key to their business model. As you've seen in successful cities around the country like Seattle, like Portland, and so on. So a downtown location is key for us.
Money, how much would it cost to build this stadium?
Yes, we do. Actually, we've done a lot of work on that. Not only do we do the economic impact study that came out in October, which showed that there's a $1.3 billion incremental impact to the Central Florida region through the building of the stadium and the acquiring of the franchise. That's over the next 30 years. So there's a massive upside to bringing a Major League Soccer franchise here. The cost of the stadium would be about $110 million, but that includes the land acquisition as well. So the development cost would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 90 to 95 million, depending on what the land cost was. That has been ratified. We've had architectural plans drawn up, preliminary plans drawn up. We've had that costed out by 3 of the major construction companies. So we know that to be very accurate right now. We know that we can do this for that amount of money.
Or you would be acquiring the own land for the stadium?
The city would be providing the land as part of their contributions to the deal, yeah. Yes, yeah, we said that, yeah. Yes.
With the new stadium, can you estimate about how many new jobs this might create for the city of Orlando?
Yes, if I look at my, I think I've got it on my cheat sheet. If I don't, I'll...
This is mine.
Is that your cheat sheet?
Yes.
Okay. Teresa, can you remember, was it 800, I've got a figure about 900 in my mind. Yeah, thank you. So construction jobs will be 890, and ongoing operations will be around 250. So, thank you. Yeah, so again, good question. It is a multi-purpose stadium. There's a kind of a need to call this a soccer-specific stadium all the time. It really isn't a soccer-specific stadium. In fact, I don't quite know what a soccer-specific stadium actually is. It's a multi-purpose stadium where soccer would be the main tenant. But we could also house an awful lot of other events in there. For an example, the NCAA, the College Cup, which is the NCAA's equivalent of the Final Four, would love to have a permanent home. They would love for that home to be somewhere like Orlando, but we don't have a stadium that's capable of holding that. So NCAA, College Cup, Final Four, December every year would be a great event for us. International rugby, lacrosse, high school football state championships, concerts. There's a whole array of events that the city today would have difficulty in hosting in its current configuration of venues, that we will add to that mix and add to the value proposition of Orlando as an international city for visitation and sports events.
Excuse me, and with MLS, Phil, MLS and friendly games, how many soccer games per year in average do you believe that's going to happen in the stadium?
Yeah, we would be around about 35 to 40 events per year for soccer. That would be MLS games, cup games, international friendly games, exhibition games, etc. So we would utilize the stadium for about 40 events per year on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, the other events like, I've just mentioned, lacrosse and all the other kinds of events that we could host there as well.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I believe that what would be very important to tell, today, the average attendance for the Orlando City games in the Citrus Bowl is about 7,000 people. And with the benchmarking of the previous MLS clubs. So, please.
Okay. What Flavio is referring to is that we currently average just under 7,000 fans per game for Orlando City games in the USL Pro. There have been 4 teams that have made the jump from USL to MLS, from, if you like, the minor leagues to the major leagues. On average, when they make that leap, the attendance upside, if you will, the attendance multiplier is 325% on average. Okay, so that's a huge step up, 325% from minor leagues to major leagues. That would put our attendance well over 20,000, 21, 22,000 as an average attendance. Our plan is to build a stadium at around about 19,000 capacity initially that could be expandable up to 24, 25,000. It means that we would be at a sellout level probably every week, week in, week out in the MLS. Thank you.
Describe why the Citrus Bowl is not an acceptable venue.
Yes. Okay, so if we go back to the beginnings of the league, when the league first started, it's fair to say that it was started with a little bit of the premise that this would provide a summer inventory for National Football League teams and their owners who had an empty stadium in the summer. Okay, that was kind of part of the premise of it. Well, as we all know from the very early days of the MLS, it didn't work out that way. And whilst the initial teams were housed in very large stadiums, 70, 80,000 stadiums, they were attracting 15 to 20,000, fan base on average. If you put 15,000 fans in an 80,000 seat stadium, it really just doesn't work that well. Part of the great attraction of soccer is the passion and the excitement around the game, and that's created by the fans. We have some of the best fans in the country in Orlando, some of the absolute best fans. We got some of the loudest, the strongest, the most vociferous, the best supporters outside of MLS. We need to give them a home to create that environment and to create that excitement, which is a part of the game. As soon as the MLS started to realize that and move towards, if you like, soccer-specific stadiums, in other words, a stadium of maybe 18, 20,000 with a roof over the fans, where the noise stays in and the excitement stays in, you completely change the dynamic of the game. It's a completely different game than playing in an 80,000 open-top stadium inside an 18, 20,000 soccer-specific stadium. We proved that to the mayor and his team when they came up to Sporting Kansas City with us. Sporting KC used to play in Arrowhead Stadium, again, a 75,000-seat coliseum. No atmosphere, no real energy. Club was going nowhere. The team was going nowhere. New owners came in. The city built them a brand new stadium, all, by the way, public money, zero private money in that deal, all public money, and completely regenerated the team. Now, Sporting KC is looked at as one of the top franchises in the MLS. It's one of the best attended. It's a sellout every week. There's a wait list for season tickets. The energy and the atmosphere, the passion inside the stadium, tremendous. You do that by creating the right environment for the game to flourish and for the fans to flourish.
I would like to complete this answer.
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
As Phil said, it's a requirement from MLS. And it's a requirement that we agreed with this requirement. Otherwise, it would cost 30 million less for us. So to play in Citrus Bowls would cost 30 million, which is our part of the investment in the stadium, $30 million. It's about 33% of the total investment we're gonna do in our own. So it was not necessary, it would cost 30 million less. But we agree to invest because we believe that this requirement from MLS is very, very important to the soccer environment in the stadium. That I would like to add.
I told Flavio there wouldn't be a lot of big questions, like, because I said, I want to do interview. Oh, no. Wrong again, right?
Okay,
Yes,
really
sorry.
quickly. What would you say for the events besides soccer?
Yes.
If you're selling tickets to the critics who would say that they're taking away from the Amway Center or the Citrus Bowl being renovated, those are all places that have to sell tickets as well.
No, very good question. Then that would not be intent whatsoever. We've been working very, very closely with the city. The city of Orlando sees this as very much a complementary venue, bringing in events and venues and activities that wouldn't ordinarily go to either the Citrus Bowl or the Amway Center. So this is complementary activities over and above that which we already host as a city. And Alan Johnson and the mayor and ourselves in talking through that have been very clear on that as to what we could bring. Central Florida, we've also worked with the Central Florida Sports Commission on that, and they see a venue like this as being very attractive to bring in additional events. It wouldn't be our intention at all to take away from existing events and just move them around venues.
When you talk about a city like Seattle, all of the same things you just said about MLS, they said has to be soccer specific there. Not only is that one of the most successful franchises, I believe when you talk to fans, they say it's one of the best atmospheres in the United States. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, and you've selected the only stadium in the country where that's the case, and it's unique. It's a one-off. What Seattle is doing is an extremely unique experience, very, very difficult to replicate. You talk to the league; they don't even know why it's successful. There, but it just is. It's kind of a unique situation. But you look at, for example, Portland. You look at Philadelphia. You look at Sporting Kansas City. You look at the new stadium that the Houston Dynamo have in downtown Houston, and you've got a very, very different dynamic there, which has had, again, the significant impact, but for the very different reasons. Any other questions? Okay. If not, I'd like to thank the members of the media for being here, for coming out to listen to us today. Thank you for your time and your participation. Flavio, Alexandre, myself will be available for interviews as offline. Thank you.